I want to thank God for my father in the Lord, Papa Josiah Akendayobi. I want to thank God for a man who can hear from God. Because if he didn't hear from God, I won't be here. He heard from God. Of all the people that could become the general overseer, I am the least qualified. I mean, the church started in 1952. I came in 1973. 2 years after I came, he ordained me a pastor. That's not done in the Redeemed Christian Church of God. The day he was ordaining me pastor here, in that little building over there, the man that was anointed before me had been in the church for 15 years. I'm just come. And what we call Johnny just come. Of course, that gave a signal to the entire congregation, watch that boy. When he called me and said he was going to ordain me, my wife and I, we fasted for 14 days that God will not allow it to happen. Oh, yes. Who wanted to be a pastor? In those days, at least in the Redeemed Christian Church of God, to become a pastor is to be sentenced to poverty. Plain language. And I had been poor. I had no poverty. For the first 18 years of my life, no pair of shoes. Then I struggled and struggled. I finished university education. I became a lecturer in the university. Now, at least when I joined the church, my car, which was second-hand, was the newest car in the church. Out of the 5 cars, that is the only one you don't have to push before it will start. And then suddenly somebody is now talking about me becoming a pastor. You want me to go back to, no. We prayed and fasted, my wife and I. But God didn't answer that prayer. Thank God he didn't. When my father in the Lord told me I will be succeeding him, not that God had not told me himself, we'll talk a little bit about that later on. I told him, no, it's not going to happen. He said, God told him. I said, talk to him again. Anyone he chooses for you, I will support the fellow 100%. But for me, to leave the little comfort I have and become, I mean, you may not understand. As acting head of department at the University of Mathematics at the University of Ilorin, my boys' quarters alone has 4 bedrooms. Because in Ilorin, in those days, there were houses, nobody to live in them. Not land. And then they gave me a guest quarter, 2-bedroom bungalow. So that will tell you what the main house was like. To leave that and come and live in one room in Moshi. I said, God forbid. He insisted. I wrote him a letter. You know, Papa could not read other than the Bible. He could read the Bible because God taught him how to do that supernaturally, and he could read the hymn book, but any other writing, he couldn't read. So I wrote him a letter to say, nah, choose somebody else. Thank God the boy who read the letter to him, he's here today, is Pastor Poe. So I have a witness that I didn't want to be general, but it was in writing. I wrote it to the old man. The old man called me. And he broke my back by saying one thing. I know what God told me. I know what you are saying. That's okay, I can't force you. But I want you to know one thing. I love you. That's the truth of the matter. I couldn't disappoint somebody who loves me. And if we're talking about love, Papa loved me. Well, it wasn't it wasn't somebody you joke with, though. Papa was another Elijah. He was fire. So when you see me, there's a lot of difference between us. When Papa says he wants to see you in the office, until you get there, and he tells you why, you'll be sweating. That's the old ones there. That was my father in the Lord. He was a prayer warrior. was a man of God. He could hear from God. It's not just one of these so-called apostles. He was great. And it is the covenant God gave him that we are executing now. We are merely operating under the covenant that God gave to Josiah Akindayo. May let somebody shout hallelujah for that. See, once your head is good, all is well with the body. If a man's head is bad, every other thing will go wrong. If a man is mad, the brain is torn. With his own hand, he will remove his clothes. Correct? A madman will be walking naked in the street. He wouldn't know because something gone wrong with the head. But we had a good head who had a covenant with God. God told him, you do the following, I will make sure this church will go around the world, and I will meet this church when I return. So when people begin to criticize the Redeemed Christian Church of God, when they try to say all manners of things, I don't pay attention, because what God has decreed is going to be established. So I thank God for your lives, those of you who are members of the Redeemed Christian Church of God, and those of you who will join, because whether the devil likes it or not, the Lord is going to see you through.